Hello again, guys. Reset Chat here. Welcome back to the channel. Man, it's been a minute. Yeah, it's been quite a minute here. I am trying to, let's see, figure out if yep, sound's working. Awesome. Yeah, so we are back here in XP-12 in probably what's old news now, the Nimbus Charlotte scenery that I've been wanting to check out here for a little bit ever since it came out, and I'm pretty sure there've been enough reviews now on the scenery that it's again probably old news. But yeah, we are in the 7.5 flight factor once again, the bare metal American, and a little bit of a, I guess you could call this one a little bit of an anomaly, because American for the most part had the RB211s, but they did have a few handful of 7.5s that were the Pratt & Whitney 2037s with no winglets as well too. So we'll be rocking that tonight, or this afternoon rather. Just a short hop down to Orlando as I kind of work out some of these kinks here with the stream. So bear with me here with the volumes and whatnot. I keep getting these copyright strikes from Epidemic Sound. I'm not sure what I'm not doing on my description here, but it's kind of annoying me here. But anyway, as I said, we're in Charlotte, and I wanted to check out this scenery a while ago because it's a pretty faithful recreation of this Charlotte that I remember. It's been long enough now that I'm not afraid to say that I used to be a blue streaker. Used to work for a PSA, so we would park over here on this side where all the regional jets were, and I was DC based, but every now and then I would come into Charlotte, and this pretty much looks like exactly like what I remember coming down these escalators over here from B Concourse. And I think, yeah, I did see that they're kind of simulated here, but you mean you go downstairs and then you've got this little like long walkway. You've got some seats here on the side where this is where you could see all the Embraers from Contour that were parked here off towards the side. And this place was super packed. Like never, I don't think it ever really mattered what time of day it was. It always seemed like this airport and this side of the concourse was super packed. But again, pretty faithful recreation here. I remember this was, where are we? I think this, no, this was where the break room was for the American Eagle folks here. We would all come up here. You could see some of the aircraft out here in the windows, and there are some places where you could sleep and whatnot. And we had the same break room with the flight attendant. So yeah, pretty cool. And they've got the lines as well too. Now it used to be just, I cannot remember what it used to be initially. I think it was like 1 or 2 lines, but before I left for the company that I work for now, they just introduced these like blue and orange lines, and it's supposed to help with traffic. Like, I'm not sure if the 777 would have to be like down the middle on the Charlie line or the Echo line, but I knew that like ours Embraers and CRJs, we could get by just fine on the blue line and the amber line on the outside, but not sure if that's the case with the 777. But yeah, pretty cool recreation of the airport. They've got runway 22, was it now? I can't remember what it was. What was it? Whatever this runway is, looks like they've completely made it into a taxiway now. It used to be, I'm not sure, it's been a while since I've been in Charlotte now, but we used to taxi down it all the time going down to the center runway, and I'm assuming they've just made it into a taxiway now completely, since it doesn't get used anymore. But yeah, I was a fan of Charlotte until we got into into the parking area, because it was about as efficient as any airport in the US as it gets. But once you got down here into the parking area, you can just see, like, if you had an airplane parked next to me, like, you'd have to wait for someone to get parked or not be pushing out at the same time for you to get pushed out. So it was pretty common for us to land here at Charlotte with like 45 minutes early and still just make it to the gate like right on time. So you always saw people running to and from the gates trying to make their connections. But anyway, yeah, let's go ahead and hop in the aircraft there. Like I said, just a short little hop down to Orlando. Now, the last time I tried to stream, I wanted to do a no APU start the engine from a hover, do a cross fleet start, and for whatever reason it didn't work out too well, so we're going to try doing that again here this afternoon. So all right, enough talking, let's go ahead and hop in the aircraft. Now, generally speaking, we're not going to find the airplane cold and dark like this. Let's see. Yeah, it's not going to be cold and dark like this, so I'm going to go ahead and set it up in a configuration where we would more or less find it in like a during a quick turn or something like that. So battery switch on, standby power to auto. I'm already getting tripped at by the flight attendant here. Standby power auto, we can go ahead and just turn the external power on. Bus ties to auto, utility buses on, and the left and right generator can switches on there. Oh, let me read. I'm sorry here, Steven. Steven says, do you think the 576 will be retired soon and will be replaced by the Neo, or continue until Boeing makes a new model? As much as I don't want to admit it, Steve, they're slowly getting replaced, man. We've taken a few to the desert already this year. Was it last year? I remember last year I was coming off of we're flying up to we're leaving Florida somewhere like Orlando, Fort Lauderdale, somewhere around there, and on our way up I remember we got an ACARS message that said, hey, FYI, this airplane is essentially done for tonight. You can just shut it down. And then I was looking at the ACARS message and I was wondering where it was going the next day, and it said VCV. And if you know where VCV is, Victorville, you know exactly what that means. So we were actually flying that airplane's last revenue flight. We had no idea until we were about like half an hour away from the descent. So that was pretty cool. I took a picture of it. I probably have it on my phone somewhere still. I've got a whole like album I just have of aviation pictures. But yeah, unfortunately, I think these airplanes are not going to be around much more longer. I know our company, we're saying somewhere in the 2030s is when we're going to get rid of the 75s. The 76s, I want to say they want to hang on to them a little bit longer, but unfortunately, the 75s are probably going to be gone here in the next 5 years. But I'm going to hang on to the fleet. I'm not going to retire and move off of another aircraft for honestly until they probably let me. They drag me off the airplane, tell me that you have to go now because we're getting rid of all the airplanes. But anyway, let's go ahead and continue setting up the overhead here. So the electric side looks good. We're going to pretend that we've got no APU again, so emergency lights can come on. I'm going to fly this leg, so we'll use the second starter here. The start switches can go to auto. Fuel pumps are fine. Engine AS is fine. Position light can come on. Window heats can all come on. Passenger and seatbelt signs, or no smoking and seatbelt signs can come on. Field elevation. I do live in Orlando, so know by heart. It's 90 something feet, 93 feet. I guess I don't know by heart, but we'll just round it up to 100. Auto 1 for the mode selector here, and then we can move this auto rate here to this arrow. Let's see, doors already open, logo lights, I'll leave that off. Flight deck, let's go ahead and turn these just to like the 12 o'clock position. Trim air, left free stroke fan should be guarded. That always stays on because that's what keeps our avionics cool. The right side, if you've seen some of my videos before, we leave that off on the ground. I don't know if that's just a company thing or if that's like what Boeing asks us to do, but we leave it off because essentially the with the door being open, the cargo door being open in the back essentially like sucks in all the air from the outside. So if you're trying to cool the airplane, kind of doesn't make any sense if you turn that fan on, because you're going to be sucking hot air from the outside. But the pneumatic panel looks good. We'll turn the isolation valve on, and that should be it for the overhead. Coming down to the MCP, you can turn the flight directors on the auto throttle, and I should be able to arm the LNAV and VNAV as well, even though we don't have a position or a route or anything like that planned just yet. But we can't do that, so it is what it is. Go ahead and set the IRS real quick here. I want to say it's 10,000 feet for the departure, but we'll check that out in a little bit here. We'll come down to the lights. That's fine for now. What is our altimeter? Pull up Navigraph here real quick. That was yesterday's flight. Alright, we'll upload that. Hide this guy. And let me pull up Navigraph here so you guys see what I am seeing at the same time. So we are going down to Charlotte, or to Orlando rather. Let's turn on FATSIM. Let's go ahead and log on to FATSIM as well too. Connect here. We are AAL 18. What is our flight number? Let's pull up the paperwork here really quick. There, back up, there. And we are American 1674. And oh wow, just an hour flight time. Okay, that works. All right, let's minimize that. And I wanted to get the weather really quick. So weather out of Charlotte is light winds out of the south. Meter is 3026. Nice high pressure. 3026 for you. And 3026 for you. Alright, let's continue on with the pre-flight here. I like the map mode. Everything looks good in here. Let's see, oil quantity. I'm just gonna go ahead and do some maintenance here. We'll bump that up to 17 quarts. That works. And oxygen looks good as well too. And we can go ahead and test that as well. And there's a certain way we test this, but essentially as we test that, we'll press it. The pilot who's monitoring is going to test this for 10 seconds. And the pilot flying can just do it for like a few seconds. But the pilot who is monitoring is going to test this for about 10 seconds, and you just don't want to see a drop of 100 psi. But what I would do is actually write this number down, and I'll make a note of it, so when we check it again, I can come back to it and make sure that we don't have an oxygen leak or anything like that. So I'll bring that up when that part comes up here. But auto brakes. Down RTO, I'm going to reset the skipper's time here. Let's see, we can come down to the center pedestals, zero out the decision height on his side and on my side as well. And let's see, stabilizer trim, that's fine. And I suppose we can go ahead and test the weather radar. Two tests that we do during every flight. Is the weather. We'll check the weather radar, and then the takeoff configuration one. And then again, if you've watched my videos before, you know that we kind of have to, I need a fancy word for this, but we essentially have to do a little simism for this. So we've got to move the throttles up here. That gives us our takeoff configuration one, and this is not how we do this in the real world. Generally speaking, you want to see the flaps in the parking brake. If you see spoilers, that means that our spoilers are essentially going to be out of this green range here. But the way in which we actually do it in the real aircraft, again, if you've watched this before, is actually back here in the pre-61 panel. We'll lift that up, and that's how we test it. But that's not how it works here in the Flight Factor. So, and when we do this, yeah, we'll call it the Flight Factor way. So when we do it the Flight Factor way in the real world, that does shed the utility buses. So if you were actually to do that, it's gonna take off the flight attendants, because you're gonna kick off all the passenger stuff back there and their galley power. So just have to make sure that we reset that here in the sim. Beyond that, so yeah, weather that works just fine. So we can go ahead and turn that off and tune our radios. And I don't think I saw any ATC here in Charlotte, so let's go ahead and just do what the CTAF is. Call it, I guess we can use 26.4 since we're using the center on, right? So 26.4 it is. Adjust this here, 26.4 on the left side. Boom. And we can have guard on the right side. ATC 2, since it's going to be my leg. And again, this doesn't really apply here, unfortunately, in Flight Factor, but we want to make sure that you've got the right source for whoever is flying, because once you start changing the altimeter setting here, that's going to start, that's going to change your VNAV path. So again, doesn't matter here, but just want to get into a good habit of doing that. But anyway, that's pretty much it. I'm going to go ahead and set this our radar to the weather, actually. Let's go ahead and plan the load the box up here. Now, I've gotten really lazy because in a real aircraft, we actually will log on to ACARS, and essentially will load everything for us. It'll load the route, it loads our weights, the initial weights here for us, and then and the winds as well too. So kind of have to hand jam everything here, which is the way I used to do it back in regional days, but again, got lazy. So let's pull this up. It's a pretty simple route anyway. So icon 6 from 18 center, icon 6 to Nooks, and let's direct to Warfel. And Quebec 83. Hang on a second, guys. Get some music going here in the background. All right, Warfel, Quebec 83, and we're going to Royco, it's down Quebec 85 to Leopard, and I'll go ahead and save this real quick, and we are going to be on the get out one for 17 left, which should take us right over my virtual home, actually. Anyone who essentially comes in from this portion of on the get out one, like I live right about just south of Lake Jessup. Let's see, 17 left, and we're gonna park on American Parks on Airside 2. Nope, Airside, what is this called? Airside 3 in the 50s somewhere. Alright, I think that about does, oh shoot, let's get the, we'll do, yeah, sure, why not, bang. Alright, minimize you, and minimize you. Let's take a look at this. So we'll go to the plan, really quick, legs page, and icons is radar vectors off the runway, Gilfin, Icon, Snook, Swarful, Coney, Talon, Orco, Ghibli, EG. You go ahead and close out this discount right here. Leopard, and let's see. On get out one first. Actually, it's way up here. Leopard. So that's going to be. Let's see, between 34 and 30, nom above 19, so our cruise altitude I think is just 30,000 feet today, so it's probably, no, we don't have any altitude here, so it doesn't even know yet. So anyway, the speeds and the altitudes look like they all check out here for the arrival, but we can come back to that here once we get closer towards the descent here. But anyway, that all looks good. So let's go ahead and load the folks on board today. I did say 170, so we'll fill it up. And let me make these weights match here. So our ramp weight is 194.6. We're going to take 17. We'll just round it up to 17.6 here. For the fuel, 17,600 pounds. And I said 194, so add another 10. Actually 10, what did I say? 194.6, so let's just add 10.6. And close enough. Sometimes you're a little bit on the heavier side than what your actual paperwork says, so. And 32, yeah, sure, why not? That's a decent CG. And I think we need a fuel truck. And that should be it. Alright, while that loads up, let's get the reserves planned out here. I'm just going to add up the reserve fuel and the contingency, so that's about, what, 4.9? I don't think we really even need a reserve today because the weather in Orlando, if I look out the window right now, I know it's pretty good. So we're gusting out of the east, and yep, nice and Florida looking. Alright, cruising at 30, and cost index, alright, 60 works, sure. 60, and then let's just get an average wind here is 030 at 13, so it should be a slight tailwind going down. And then the step size, we'll always put 2,000 here IKO. Now if we're going across the pond, then that we'll add 1,000, or we'll type in 1,000 here. But since we're in the States, we'll just type in 2,000 for the step climbs. Well, it looks like they have wrapped up boarding here, so I'm just going to go ahead and get our zero fuel weight. Gives us a gross weight of 194.8. Takeoff, and these are just like numbers that I kind of see often. A D rate of it's like 48, somewhere in the 50s. I'll say 52. It's kind of average. Yeah, EPR of 130. That's good enough. And then CG 3.2, trims 3.1. Cool beans. I don't know how. This is just kind of a sidebar, but in the real aircraft, our guys are really good about like getting the CG in the like mid to upper 20s, and generally speaking, we always once we've landed, we'll put the default trim here to 4 degrees up. And I don't know how these guys do it, but they always seem to load us where we're either like 4.1, 4.0, 4.2, like right about that 4 limit there. So it's pretty cool. But anyway, let's go ahead and just use these numbers here. So V1 is 38, VR 141, V6 or V2 is 146, and it should automatically get our flaps 5 and flaps up bugs for us there, which looks like what, 171 and 211. Yep, go beans. And I think that is about it, guys. Now, if you take a look at the Icon 6, this is one of those departures like Detroit or can't think of any other right now, but there is a speed restriction once you get above 10,000 feet. So you can see here it says upon reaching 10,000 accelerate and maintain 280 knots here. So we'll have to make sure we're just gonna go blasting up to 300 or whatever it says here. I have found, and Pretty sure it's a bug. If I were to change these numbers here in the climb page, it changes my cruise speed, which then changes the descent speed, which then changes like all the speeds for the arrival. So I'm not going to touch it here. What I'm just going to do is once we get airborne, I'm just going to open up the speed the box here for the speed limit or for the speed, and just dial into 80 knots here. So I'm just going to leave this as it is right now because I don't want to mess up anything for the descent. I think I will bump up this cruise number though. Let's see if we can do 0.79. Can we do that? Hopefully it doesn't screw up too much. Now, real aircraft does give us this 240 and 10,000 feet speed limit transition here. Now I think that's just a little buffer just to make sure we don't always go over 250. We always, and I mean always, if you remember anyway, some guys don't forget, but then once we start descending you realize, oh, it's 240, and then you can't change it. But anyway, we always come in here and go to that L4 key and put that speed restriction of 250 knots at 10,000 feet. What that does is it'll actually erase this here. You wouldn't see this, and it just essentially limits us to 250 knots at 10,000 feet instead of 240. But that is about it here, guys. Let's go ahead and run a pre-flight checklist, and we'll go from there. So I've got my company's pre-flight checklist here, so I'm just going to go ahead and do that really quick, and we'll go from there. So pre-flight checklist: interior and exterior inspections have been completed, circuit breakers have been checked, takeoff warning has been checked, force quarter has been checked as well as not simulated on honor. So it is what it is. Fuel panel is set, passenger signs are on, pressurization panel is set, equipment coolant panel is set, mode control panel is, oh, we're going to be off heading, so I'm just going to turn the LNAV off. So VNAV and initial runway heading is going to be 183, so 183. And I completely overlooked this too. That initial altitude is, I'm assuming it's 10,000 feet. Nope, wrong. 8,000 feet. Alright, 8,000. So mode control panel is set. Windows are closed and locked. Oxygen mask has been checked. Instrument source selectors are checked. Altimeters 3026 is cross-checked. Flight nav instruments have been checked. Essentially, you just want to make sure that the heading here matches the other person's. Reserve brakes are off over here. Standby flight instruments have been checked. Let's see, heading reference switch is norm. Ground proximity override switches are off. ICAS has been checked. Essentially, oil quantity and hydraulic quantity, oxygen pressure, and no like status messages on here. Parking brake is set. We're looking for the light here, and there's the indication there. Yep, there's the indication here. Dust levers are closed. Fuel control switches are cut off. I make that radios and transponder are not set because I did not get our clearance. Stand by one. I was actually a little hesitant on doing this on VATSIM. I had to delete my X-Plane just because something was going on where every time I had a VATSIM on, just the performance would just drop. So just kind of had to start over from scratch here. But anyway, we're squawking 5706. That's good. Let's see, radar is off. Flight attendant briefing has been completed. Departure briefing, sure, we can do one really quick. So, weather-wise, we are good here in Charlotte. It's VFR. We can come back to Charlotte, and that meter has changed now to 3024. 3024. The weather is good here in Charlotte. We can come back if we need to. Otherwise, where are we? Oh shoot, I don't have what do you call it, sim link on here, so it's not going to show us where we are. But we're parked at the Charlie gates. Let's pull up the gates here. It's Charlie, excuse me, Charlie 8. Charlie 8 will push back, and we'll make our way over to a spot. Where was it? They always used to like to take us out of one of these. It was like, I guess they've changed now. I thought it used to be like spot 9, but anyway, we'll exit out here like Zulu 7, make our way up to 1-8 center, and it's 10,000 feet long. If we need to abort, essentially, master caution, master warning, if any of those come on, below 80 knots we'll abort. At above 80 knots, it's going to be fire, what did it say, fire, failure, fear, shear, so engine fire, engine failure, wind shear, which we don't have a predictive warning on board this aircraft, and if we just don't think the aircraft's going to take off for whatever reason. And then obviously above V1, then we're just going to take the failure into the air. We'll climb up to our initial cruising initial altitude. It says 8,000 feet. We can do 4,000 feet here since the min safe is 3,800 feet. We'll just turn back around. I think did I say the weight was here? 194.6. Yeah, gross weight's 194.6, so we should be, I think that's below the maximum landing weight. Just depends on which version of the 7.5 you're in, but anyway, it should be just fine. But anyway, it's a sim. We'll just come back and land into Charlotte if we need to. Otherwise, 280 knots on the departure. We'll just have to remember to bug that in. And that's all I've got for the brief. So departure briefing has been completed. Logbook QRHs, if we had those on board, we would make sure that they were on board, and then fuel required. Paperwork says that we need 17 point, I guess you can, I'll round it up, 17.6, and in the aircraft we do have 17.6. So that's it for the pre-flight checklist. Now, biggest difference here between just your normal start and the having a problem with the APU and having to start here on the what do you call it, the hover, is you're going to have to talk to the ground crew initially about which engine you're going to start. Generally, it's the second engine here on the right side, because you can see the hover is essentially parked right next to the first engine. So obviously you don't want to suck that in. You don't want anybody else to get sucked in trying to get rid of that hose, because essentially, let's do this here. They have to come out underneath the airplane while that engine's running, disconnect this, and then like pack it all this back into the hover. And this tube, it gets pretty hot from the high pressure air going into the manifold here. So anyway, you just obviously want to make sure nobody gets hurt down here while you are starting the engine. So we always have to have a brief with the rampers before we start that engine. So I'm gonna go ahead and get rid of the gang down here. And we don't need the fuel truck as well too, so let's get rid of fuel truck. And still need a GPU, and we'll keep the air hooked up here for passenger comfort. Now, speaking of comfort, we can go ahead and turn that the packs on here for the folks, as well as the once they've closed the cargo door in the back, we can turn that right recirc fan on. Now, once everyone's essentially ready to go, now some captains have their options. Some like the door open just in case we need to evacuate really quick in case we have some sort of fire. Some like it closed, but we won't arm the door actually before we get going here. So once we've talked to the crew and we've gotten permission with the ramp to start that engine, essentially we just run it like a normal start. So once we're ready to go, my flow is to turn on the transponder. Captain's going to turn the beacon on. I like it. I always like it when they leave the flight deck door open, just goes so the folks in back can like see what we're doing. Generally, it's like that person in like 1B can like have an easy access to see what we're doing here from the cockpit. But anyway, I'm getting distracted here. So we are going to turn on the fuel pumps, and then the hydraulic panel, or the hydraulic pumps rather, and that's pretty much it here. So we're ready to start. So what we'll do is essentially just like a normal engine start without the APU. So since the APU is not running, it doesn't matter if that bleeds on or off. We'll just leave it off. We'll just turn the packs off, and you can see we've already got the bleeder that we need. I think we need just like put myself in digging a hole for myself here. I want to say it's like 25 minimum psi, but I'm probably wrong. I have to look in the book for that. But anyway, we've got enough pressure, duct pressure, to start the engine here. So we'll start that right engine, and hopefully this time it'll actually work here. Let's go ahead and do that. So engine starter to ground and start the clock, and hopefully we got rotation. It's working. It's super slow, and honestly that's not too far from what you would actually see in a real aircraft. Let's get rid of the paperwork here. You would hope it'd be a little bit quicker than that, and I don't think there's anything wrong I'm doing here. So sometimes your air quality is just not that good, but so long as we get to that minimum in the Pratt & Whitney's of 18% N2, we can go ahead and introduce the fuel here and get that engine started. So we're getting there. This is actually pretty close to real life sometimes. I mean, you just have some bad offers and the air is just struggling to get up there. All right, there's 18. I'm gonna give it just another percentage here. All right, good enough. Now, once you introduce fuel, this process does not go that fast. Like the quickest I've ever had an engine starts like 50 seconds, somewhere around there. But like generally, I want to say like it takes, just on a normal start, like 50 seconds to a minute and a half, somewhere around there. But all that being said, looks like we got that engine running here. So what we'll do is we'll wait for them to go ahead and disconnect the ground power. So since we're running on that one generator, we can go ahead and disconnect the ground power. You can take the ground power off, close that flight deck door, or the L1 door in this case, disconnect the ground air, disconnect the high pressure air, and I'm not sure, we can take the chocks off, why not? And once captain's ready with everything, they'll have the flight attendants close the door here for us. So let's do that and arm everything, and then we can get rid of the jetway. And then so we'll wait for that duct pressure to go pretty close to zero. That way that they don't have any blowback from the high pressure unit itself. So like when they take it off, it's not like blowing everywhere. So essentially, once that's to zero, then we can use that bleed air from the right engine, turn on the isolation valve, so we can turn on both the right and the left pack and start to cool folks off in the back here. Looking at the engine start reminds me of counting every second before clocking. For some reason, the last few seconds takes its time to reach. I hear ya. It's like it's going from like 10, 11, 12, 11. Anyway, that is a good engine start. Let me get these folks ID guys, and let's get our pushback here. One thing I like about better pushback is compared to I forget what you call it in Flight Sim 2020 or 2024. You can have the tug actually pull the aircraft forward as well too. Now in this case, I guess I wouldn't have to do that. But let me just go ahead and turn the aircraft parallel to the adjacent gates here, so I don't get too close, and we can just always make this left turn ourselves. Let's just push back that way. What else am I missing here? That's pretty much it. Once we've gotten clearance from the ground crew, we can go ahead and set our takeoff flaps here. So I'm gonna go ahead and set flaps to 5 here. Obviously we can always wait as well too until they've done the pushback or during the pushback, but once they tell us it's clear, you can just go ahead and put them out and not have to worry about it. Oh, I forgot to set my trim there. So trim's 3.1. Roger that. And I see we've got a couple more messages here that we really wouldn't. That ACC mode, that's just a factor of me going back and forth playing around with the RB211s and the Pratt Whitney engine. So unfortunately, you're just gonna have to stay there. But you know, sometimes you have some you'll have some MEL items, and you'll have a message on there the entire time. You just have to make sure you cancel. You just have to remember that it's going to be there as well too. But that power transfer unit, I'm not going to say it's wrong, but we don't see anything like that in our aircraft. Now granted, with the right engine on, it is going to set off the PTU. Copy, brakes release, clear to push. With the right engine on, it is going to set the PTU off here, but we don't ever get a message, an ICAS message in any of our aircraft because of that. You just hear it going off in the back. It just does its own thing. Alrighty. Such a classic look. I get the draw of this version of this type of the 777 without the winglets, but I really like the ones with the winglets. First of all, it's easier to land. The aircraft, you can tell it floats a little bit more. It stays in like ground effect. I guess that's the way to describe it. It's like it floats in ground effect a lot easier than the ones without winglets. The ones without winglets, like, you essentially have to like fly to the ground as if you were flying the 75-300 or the 76. But it is definitely like a really classic look. So shiny. Let's see if we're the only ones here at the airport right now. We're not, so I guess I do have to do some talking.
Operation complete. Go ahead and set the parking brake.
Copy. Brakes released, or brakes are set, rather. Clear to disconnect. Now, another thing I guess I should add here is, generally speaking, now I've only had 2 experiences flying jet aircraft, the CRJ, the 700 and the 900, and then the 75 and 76 obviously, but when we had to do a cross bleed, I remember on the CRJ we had to do it out on the taxiway, and it sounds as if like that's kind of the case for everybody else. Technically speaking, I suppose we are supposed to tell the ramp that we need to do a cross bleed start, but the amount of power that you need on the second engine just to start the second motor, it's barely anything. Like, we just need a minimum. So we're 61% right now on the N2. Real aircraft, like most of our aircraft will idle about like in the 64, 63, 65 range, somewhere around there. You only need 78% N2 to start the second motor, which is like nothing. So generally speaking, we just don't say anything. We just, if we need to start the second motor, we just go ahead and start it. But Betty has cleared. We're disconnected from the aircraft here. Here comes Bob with the bypass bin. Thanks, bud. Alright, once they're out of the way, flaps are 5. And oops, I never did an after start checklist. So after start checklist, engine anti-ice is off, air conditioning panel is set, recall is checked. We know about these. I'll go ahead and cancel that. And excuse me, and auto brakes are RTO after start checklist is complete. I'll go ahead and run a taxi checklist here before we get going. So taxi checklist, flaps are 5 here, and 5 on the lever. Takeoff speeds are 138, 141, 146, and then the big speeds are going to be 171 and 211, and same thing on the captain's side. Thrust is going to be 52 degrees. Trim is 3.1, and we're looking for 0 on top of the yoke here. There is like a little arrow that tells us where the center of the yoke is here, and then we're looking for 0 on the rudder trim as well too. And then flight controls, I'll definitely need to make sure I do that because my stuff gets out of calibration all the time. I mean, look at it, it's already like doing some funny stuff here. All right, that looks good. Speaking of aircraft on the approach for for the for 17 left, I just saw a shadow outside, or backyard of someone flying above us right now. But anyway, let's get going here. So taxi checklist is complete. Yep, Steven, it's a classic look for sure on the 7.6 as well too. But I don't know. I guess I've gotten used to all the 7.6s with the winglets because I don't think we fly. Yeah, we don't fly any of them without winglets now. Anyway, let's go ahead and make a call here. Charlotte traffic, American 1674. Charlotte traffic, American 1674 will be taxi runway 18 center via Zulu 7, Echo 12 at Charlotte. Alright, parking brakes. Release, clear left, clear right. Let's get going. Taxi light on. And tell you what, while we're doing this breakaway thrust here, so there's 70%. I'll go ahead and start the left engine here. Make sure our brakes are off. So all we're going to do is just, since we've got the source, we've got the isolation feeding the left side here, we'll just go ahead and turn off our packs. And we can start the left engine. That's good enough pressure here, so let's go ahead and reset our clock. And starter on, clock on. Try to do two things at the same time here. I think it's just, tell you what, let's take that blue line outside, or taxiing out. There's the blue line, we'll just follow that. Alright, coming up to 18%. I'll give it just another little buffer there. That's good enough fuel to run. There's our generator kicking on. I'll go ahead and bring that right motor all the way down to idle. And we'll just follow the blue line out. Now, once these motors have stabilized here, and you know it's stabilized once your engine, your EGT drops, it'll get to like a high point, and it'll start to decrease, and then your N1s on the Pratt Whitneys anyway, they'll idle somewhere in the low 20s. So once that looks like it's nice and stabilized, we'll go ahead and start the clock here to make sure that we've got a 3-minute warm-up for the engines. I had a captain tell me that most of your engine failures would come from engines that are not warmed up properly, so pretty important to make sure that we get them nice and warmed up before we get going here. So again, we'll just follow this yellow line out, or this blue line outbound. And oh yeah, I gotta fix my duty after start checklist here. So to make sure the pneumatic panel is set up here, we're just going to turn off that isolation valve off. Then we can turn the pack on, left engine bleed and left pack on. And then we're going to go back and make sure that the recall is checked. And again, those EECs are my fault, so we'll cancel that. Auto brakes RTO and flaps are still flaps, or still set to flaps 5. And we'll run a delayed after start checklist, which is essentially the same thing as the after start checklist. Engine anti-ice is still off. Air conditioning panel is set. Recall has been checked. And auto brakes are RTO. Delayed after start checklist is complete. Now, once we get the clearance to the runway and we actually know how we're going to get to the runway, and again, we don't have any ATC on tonight, so we're just we're taxiing ourselves here. Once we know where we're going to, we'll do a little pre-departure brief just to like give ourselves a last minute, okay, this is what we're going to do. Don't screw it up. Speaking of, I don't know why I just noticed here. So the altimeter, we like to bug the field elevation here, and that's because you'll see the aircraft do this automatically for us here, but once we get to 1,000 feet, the fly factor it'll automatically go to climb power. Well, in a real aircraft, we actually have to push that button here to go to the climb setting here. So once we get to 1,000 feet, and we're supposed to go off of what the altimeter says. A lot of us, myself included, we just go off of the radio altimeter, which is always a couple hundred feet off. But anyway, that's why we bugged that there, and I just noticed it. But anyway, we'll do a pre-departure brief here. So again, we're going to be departing off of 18 center on the Icon 6. It's just what do you call it? Radar vectors off the runway. It's just straight out departure, it looks like. Up to 8,000 feet, and minimum safe altitude is 3,800 feet, and we're going up to 8,000 feet, and I'm talking too much because that's about it. And oh yeah, we're climbing up to we're accelerating at 280 knots above 10,000 feet. All right. If the other person doesn't have any questions, then run a before takeoff checklist after we sit the flight or the the flight attendants down. Now, generally, I don't touch this here, but I know if I don't do this whole PA stuff, it's going to, the flight attendant's just going to keep bugging us about it, so that should suffice. And install them, take the seats for takeoff. That should be it. Alright, let's run a before takeoff checklist. So runway position. Let's just pull this up here. So runway doesn't show here like it does in our boxes, but it says 18 center. That's all we need to know. We're going 18 center. That's in the box. That's where we're going outside. Flaps, want to verify once again. Flaps 5 in the indicating here, and flaps 5 in our actual performance ref page here. Navigation briefing, that's been completed. Transponder can now go to TARA, and flight attendants have been notified and acknowledged. And if we were doing any sort of like pack off, takeoff, or anything like that, this is when we would go ahead and either turn the packs off or whatnot. But packs are as required, so in this case they are on auto before takeoff checklist is complete. That being said, we do a lot of, now I find that since we're in the middle of summer, we're doing a lot of pack off takeoffs and APU to pack takeoffs, which I was actually experimenting with just yesterday. I was actually going to make a little short video of it, but then I realized that the temperatures are EGTs, which is the whole point. You're supposed to it's supposed to decrease the temperatures on the EGTs, which is supposed to extend the life of the engine, which is why we do it in the real world. But it doesn't make a difference here in the sim, so I was like, oh, that kind of defeats the whole purpose and kind of dissuaded me from wanting to do it. But anyway, we're pretty much ready to go here, so I'll go ahead and make a radio call. Let's turn all the lights on, turn the music off for a moment. Charlotte traffic, American 1674D, departing runway 18 center to the south, last call at Charlotte. Let's see, what's our clock at? 5 minutes and counting, perfect. Engines are nice and warmed. I'll go ahead and set the timer here for our flight, and according to this, again, it should be, what, an hour, 7 minutes of flight time? Good deal. Alrighty. See if I can turn the volume up here for you guys just a tad bit. Alright, we'll initially increase the 1.1 or so, and then I like to push them up to the carrots here, and then we'll push the EPR, in this case that throttle button here. So EPR, captain's throttles, There's 80 knots, there's a throttle hold, and there goes my throttle going backwards. I don't know why it does that sometimes. Throttle hold thrust is normal. I think I may have over derated, but that's okay. There's V1 and rotate. About 2 degrees, 2.5 point a second. Spots rate, gear up. Initially, I like to pitch for 15 degrees, nose up, and then wait for that flight director to catch up. And if I need to increase it a little bit more, I'll increase it more. If not, then I'll just leave it there. In this case, looks like we need to go up just a tad bit more. Go get you some, girl. Alright, there's 1,000 feet. Again, the climb power automatically gets set here for us here, so it's climb power. And once we are about 10 knots away from that bog, jeez, need a lot of trim up here. Alright, flaps to 1. Is my trim working? Nope, it's not. Oh my gosh. Let's see if I can do this here. Nope, that's not gonna work. Alright, autopilot might have to come on here because I'm doing a lot of... Alright, there is between 10 knots to the flaps up bug, flaps can come up, and I'm going to turn the autopilot on here. Yikes. Oh look, see, I already screwed up the speed. For whatever reason, it's already got us bugged all the way up to 280 knots because I messed with that cruise speed. So just have to open up the speed window here, 250 for now. How's it going, Wi-Fi? And that metal looks so damn good right now. That's awesome. Alright, let's see if I can turn this back down for you guys. And let's go ahead and just turn left towards Gilfin, is it? Yeah, Gilfin. Gilfin in the box. You like it, love it, execute, and LNAV. LNAV is active. And let's do an after takeoff checklist. After takeoff list. I think I did everything. Well, it does it automatically for me here. So flaps are up and off. Landing gear. I'm sorry, flaps are up. Landing gear is up and off. APU is off. Packs are auto, and anti-ice is not required this afternoon. So after takeoff checklist is complete. Steve, dude, you're speaking my language, man. That is, oh, hang on, 7 for 8. Let's go ahead and climb up to 13,000 for now. 13. Yeah, man, a lot of gripe that I have right now with Flight Factor is just because I'm probably speaking out of place of jealousy, because you see how good their 777 is. I'm like, why can't this be the 7.5 or the 7.6? The whole reason why I have not toyed around with doing any tutorials or any videos for the 7.6 right now is just because the geometry of the flight deck is just off. Like, if you were to take a look at my position right now in the 7.5, if you were to close your eyes and open it up again and we're in a 7.6, it would be the exact same thing. The only time you can't tell, or when you start to tell that you're in a 7.6, is when you start to look this way, because this window here on the left side is a lot bigger, and then when you look like behind your shoulder, you can tell, okay, this airplane is a whole lot wider, because this P61 panel, it's here, sits a little bit lower, but then like, there's like a whole bunch of like exposed wires and whatnot just hanging around on this side here. But like from this position, you can't tell that you're in a 7.6 at all. So just the fact that that geometry, it just looks so weird. Like if you guys like just go Google the 7.6 from Flight Factor, like it looks like you're sitting like so much lower, but at the same time, like it's like you're sitting high. It's just so weird. It's so off-putting to me that I'm like, I can't do this right now. And I've really wanted to, because quite frankly, I'm kind of running out of ideas to for videos right now. Just honestly, it's kind of waiting for Bluebird to come out here, but let's go ahead and accelerate to 280 knots for now. And you know what? It's daytime. Let's go ahead and turn these lights off. No one knows. Or turn off lights, landing lights off, wing lights off. And we're out of 12 for 13. Let's go ahead and climb flight level 230. Yeah, anyway, yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's just so off-putting. Um, I don't know. I may do a tutorial anyway, just because, like I said, I'm kind of running out of ideas of stuff to do. I did that RNAV. Shoot, it's probably been a month now. I think when I looked in the analytics, but I could not, for the life of me, come up with another video. The ILS videos that we have for like in a real aircraft, it's so simple to do. I mean, I think just about anybody knows how to fly and plan for an ILS here in Flight Sim. So I'm like, there's no point in me making an ILS video. I toyed around with the idea of doing an engine out V1 cut, and it's hard for me to, since you can't. It says there are failures on here. Just do this. There are failures. It's got these scenarios, and I'm either I just don't know how to do it, or I'm trying to get it to so like on takeoff. Maybe I'm not doing it correctly, but I tried doing an engine failure and it didn't work in a way where I could repeat it and like could actually make a decent video out of it. So I've kind of abandoned that idea as well too. Wi-Fi, I did. I used to fly the 700 and the 900 for PSA before I went to the majors now. But yeah, it was a fun time. Like I was saying at the beginning of the video, I used to be DC based, but every now and then I'd come into Charlotte, and while it was fun because it was one of the more busier airports and it's got longer runways than DC for sure. I never liked it once we started making our way towards the gate, because you could land 45 minutes early and you would somehow just still make it to the gate late just because of all the traffic going in and out of the gate. So it's just how Charlotte was. Probably it still is right now, honestly. I don't think they've made a whole lot of changes to, and it's just so hard. Like this like how people, these like airport authorities or whatever, the city, however they built these like terminals, when you have these little elbows like this. Same thing with Miami. I mentioned Miami because I was initially going to go to Miami, but I'm like, I need to cut the flight a little bit short here. But Miami is the same way, where you have like these little elbows. Freaking gate? Where's the gate chart? Parking bays. Yeah, same thing. Like whenever you got aircraft that are like stuck way in there in the Juliet 3s and the Hotel 4s, Golf 5s, like you gotta wait for aircraft to either not be in the way for you to push out or for you to get in there. It's just bad design in my opinion. But who was that? That was Jacksonville Center. Good old Jax. 3592. I'm checking with these guys real quick. Oh my gosh. Alright, I'm gonna have to... Alright, pause. Jeez Louise. This... Like, I love this, the Yoke, the TCA Yoke. I got it off of Facebook from someone who apparently hadn't used it before. But I have to recalibrate this thing so many times. So I don't think my push-to-talk is working right now. So let's see if this works now. Nope. Oh, there it goes. Afternoon Center, adult. Afton Center, good lord. It's just like beeping on me right now.
Target 1674 Jackson, I think that's you. You're cutting in and out. Maintain thunderbolt 300 normal speed.
Appreciate it. Commenting 300 American 1674. My goodness. Sure was. Alright, normal speed. There's flight level 300.
Sentinel Center, American 1713, clear the runway.
Trailer training, I like how Toll is set up. For sure, dude. Like, it's... Yeah. And, I mean, you don't have to... Yeah, you can still use Tollus. You can use a fly-by-wire, obviously, for, like, for quote-unquote training purposes, but to have that... Just to go through procedures, man, it makes a big difference if you can have an aircraft like the Tollus to practice those, just like the procedures. Not even if you don't fly like completely correct. Oh, Jacksonville just closed. Well, that was short-lived. Okay, but yeah, even if you don't have like an aircraft like a Tollus that you can practice. The flying, and the flying is like accurate and the failures are accurate. Just going through the procedures, it's definitely helpful. So finally had to toss your Boeing TCA, started tilting on the axis, and oh my gosh, I don't want to hear that. Yeah, that sucks. And I say that too because like I do this for fun. It's definitely fun to like just to fly, show you guys how we do this in a real aircraft, and just kind of talk airplanes and talk flight simming and whatnot. But like, I do have other hobbies, and I don't always want to just like spend money on some of these like the hardware. There's a quadrant that I saw. V1 had a long time ago on one of his shorts on the 7.6. Thing is like 1,000. It's like $1,600. I'm like, who has the money to buy stuff like that, man? As you know, as awesome as it looks, but yeah, that I don't want to get a new TCA or anything like that. Like I just keep hanging on to this. I hope it lasts a little bit longer for me, because I don't want to spend money on anything else right now. Tell you what, man. This X-Plane, what am I using again? It's the X-Plane map enhancement. It's definitely changed my view on this sim lately. Yeah, that's how he does it. He wants to feel as real as possible with the force feedback. And I get that. But he's got that. I forget the name of it, but the Yoke that has got the force feedback, that's got to be pretty fun to fly with. But yeah, I don't know if I want to spend money on that. What airport is this? How do I do this? There. Oh, I was at view already. Let's back up. Oh yeah, I just said I forgot I didn't have sim link on. Well, just have to do this old-fashioned way. It's not Savannah. That's like a T. Yeah, Moza, I think. You keep a $40 Logitech joystick. Hey, good for you, man. Yeah, I've got the. Which one is it? I don't know, some kind of Thrustmaster joystick for whenever I feel like doing some Airbus flying. And yeah, it works. Works too. Oh, that's Columbia Metro. I've only ever flown there once in my life. Oh, there we are. Sweet. Oh yeah, I was saying, yeah, this X-Plane enhancement's definitely changed my feelings towards X-Plane, especially with this, like the weather, some of the scenarios I've seen myself in. They have come a long way, and honestly, I guess, you know, maybe it's a good thing that Flight Factor hasn't updated the 7.6, because I would really, or the 7.5 for that matter, um, I'd really have a hard time leaving the sim, I guess, or going back and forth between this and flight sim. I'd really have a problem if this airplane was just that little bit, like a 10% like better, because it works. Like I said, it'll get you from A to B, but there are just a few things that are just a little off. And but again, obviously I'm sitting here chirping about it, but at the same time I'm flying it, loving it, even when I'm not streaming it. So all right, so we're at cruise. Let's go and turn seatbelt signs off here. We are, where's our next fix? Warfel. Flight log says at Warfel we were supposed to have 12,000 gallons even. Let's see what the box says. Program 12.5. Gotta love being ahead of the fuel here, and we're supposed to land with 9.0 according to the box, and according to the paperwork we should be landing with 8.5. Gotta love it. So, what's today? Today is Tuesday. So I wrapped up a 4-day trip this past weekend. Where did we go? We were to Phoenix. And then we made our way back to... I can't remember where we came back to. Is it Dutch? I can't remember. Anyway, we ended up in... we went back to Vegas as well before going back to base, and I remember telling myself, like, what was I doing? We were, I think it was leaving, going to Phoenix. We had some sort of issue, and yeah, I remember telling myself, I'm like, man, I don't know what it's like to actually fly like a brand new airplane. That the CRJs were, you know, pretty old. I don't know how old they are now, but they're pretty old. And then the 7.5s are all, you know, at least like 20 plus years old. So all these like little problems that we're having, just leg one, going to Phoenix, my VSI wasn't working. So before I even got in the airplane, there was a maintenance guy working on it. Then there was another leg where we had, oh, it was the what do you call it, the altitude alert light here. So on the top right, this little black light, if I should be able to turn, no, it's not lighting up. Well, it should light up, but anyway, the oral warning was working, but the light itself wouldn't light up, and essentially it lights up between, for our airplane, it's between, when you're 750 to 250 feet away from your target altitude. I think you can actually change that on here. Yeah, 250 to 750. I think that, like, it varies which kind of aircraft you're in. So yeah, so anyway, the oral sound worked, but the visual, you couldn't see the light there, and I'm just like, you know what, I can't wait once I do finally get off the airplane to actually get in an airplane that just like works the way it's supposed to. Because there's so many like little finicky things about this aircraft that it just happens just because the airplane's so darn old. Keep going back and forth between XP-12 and 2020 for some reason. XP-12 flying physics feels better. I would agree with you there. For the longest time before I finally made the jump from P3D to XP-12, I was avoiding X-Plane I can't remember why. I think it's just the graphics and whatnot from X-Plane 11. But yeah, once I finally got on the bandwagon for XP-12 and started flying the Tolas, and then Zebo, I was like, okay, this is pretty, feels pretty legit. And I this airplane, the fly factor, it does act a little funny on arrival, or like during the ground, what do you call it, the ground ground effect. It just kind of like plows through it, regardless of if you've got winglets or if you don't. And that's not necessarily how it flies in the real world. And I think a lot of that just has to do with them just updating the aircraft, because generally speaking, if you're not landing with this trim at 7 degrees or more, like you've got a lot of back pressure in the aircraft. So it's got, I don't know why it just lands like that. It just has a ton of trim in it, and that's not the case. When you see when we'll land a little bit later here, like the trim will be honestly probably be maybe just a few degrees higher than where it is right now, like the 5 range or 6 range or something like that. But in a real aircraft, yeah, that trim it's way up there, and I think that's just, again, just the fact that they haven't trimmed it or updated the aircraft. And but with that being said, like, yeah, I think the airplanes certainly do act and feel more realistic here in XP-12. But that being said, fly what makes you happy, you know what I mean? These days I don't need it to fly like the real thing. I get my fix of the 7.5 flying XP-12, and honestly that's about it. I toyed around with the Airbus, that Aerogenesis, that freeware group has made with the default Airbus here, X-plane, and it's really nice. And again, like some of the weather situations I've found myself in here in X-plane, it's legit compared to what I've seen in the 2020 and 2024. But yeah, man, I just kind of fly whatever makes me happy these days. If I want to fly the 777, I just fly the BMDGs. If I want to fly the 73, same thing. If I want to fly the 75, I go to X-plane. I did download the level, whatever it's called, level, is it level D, the 7.3? I downloaded it a while ago. I never got to try it out before I essentially wiped everything on my X-plane and downloaded it again. But XP-12 is great, but the only reason I would use XP is for the 7.5 and 6. Right there with you, buddy. Right there with you. Oh, let's see where we at. Oh, that top of D is not too far away already, so let's go ahead and talk about level up. Thank you, Wi-Fi. Level up. And I remember I was looking forward to level up for a while too, and it took them a while to get that 7.3 out, but yeah, good stuff there. Weather into Orlando. We are gusting out of the east, and that's only 9 knot gusts. So if I tried the Fly JSIM 73-200, I have not. Here's the thing about it, Steven, like when it comes to other, so I've got experience with the what do you call it, the Tolas. So that's where like my first ever experience flying the Airbus came from, with the Tolas, and it took me months to figure out, okay, this is kind of how you do this. Watch V1's diff scripts video just to figure out how to get it started and all that stuff, and I got it down decently where you can get the airplane up and down from A to B in one piece. So I didn't mind purchasing the Phoenix Airbus for the same reason, but generally speaking, dude, I kind of stick to what I already know. So it's like, if it's not a Airbus or a Boeing product, your 7.3s, I haven't really played around with the 7.4 as much, but the 7.5, the 7.6, 777, the 7.8, yeah, it's more or less the same thing. like I kind of don't venture out of those for the simple fact that I don't want to like sit here and figure out how to fly it. Like I already know how to fly these others. Like I'll turn on the sim, do like a transcon or something, go run some chores, come back and land it, and then go to work at some point, or or go to the gym or whatever. But I don't want to. For as much fun as that L1011 looks, and the Leonardo, the MD-80, the MD-11, like all these different aircraft, the Phenom that I just saw yesterday. Like man, as much fun as that looks, like I don't want to sit around and figure out how to fly it. I'm just too lazy. My time at home is already limited enough, and like for me to sit down right now, I already feel like guilty, like I should be doing something around the house instead of sitting around and just talking. But at the same time, like this is relaxing. So my wife is on the other side of the house here, on the other side of the wall, and she's got her headphones on and trying to drive her crazy. So anyway, I was going on about the weather initially here. So we got mostly cloudy skies. The winds are gusting out of the east here again. Meters 3016. Just a little technique our captains like to do. We'll go ahead and set the landing altimeter on the standby here. That way we don't have to worry about it. And you already know what it is before you land. But yeah, that Phenom looks freaking awesome. Like I'm just gonna have to live vicariously through some other streamers and just kind of watch how they're enjoying it. Let's see, I said earlier that we were going to be in between 30 and 34 on the Leopard, and it doesn't even put it on here just because we're already at 30. So that's fine enough for me. I'm not going to play around with it again, or enough bugs on here. So after Leopard, we've got Nom at above 19, 4U at or above 13 at 280. Then Nick is in between 14 and 12. I'm not sure why that didn't go through here. So you can't put an altitude unless you put a speed, but I'm gonna try it anyway. Oops, 14 above, or 12 above, 14 below, and it works. Okay, not gonna argue there. Big B at 250 at 10,000 feet. That's in the box as well. Then get out. Get out is between 11 and 9, and that says 960 or 9469. I'm not gonna mess with that since that's already in between that gate, so that's fine enough with me. Tuggle, no altitude there, and then Banya rather at 210 at 7,000 hard altitude. So that's in the box there. So I don't think we're gonna have ATC. So once I get myself, or give myself the permission to descend via, I'll just set 7,000 feet there as a hard altitude, and supposedly, in theory, the VNAV should honor all those altitudes and the gates. What do we have for the speed here? Let's see. Descend, I'm going to go ahead and put 280 just in case it doesn't register. Let's see, it wants to, I'll just round this up to 0.76. And it goes to 0.9. And I don't know why. 0.76. Okay, whatever. It's in the box. It should work. Let's set this up here. So the frequency is going to be 110.95. Now in the real bird, I've mentioned it before here, but we can set the decimal place on the right here. So what do we have? 110.95. We should be able to zero this out, and that 95 should stay there. It does not in this aircraft. So it is what it is. But in a real aircraft, we would just put that like 95 there and then zero it out again, so that when we want to bring it back up, all we need to do is just turn the big knob to whatever that frequency is to the left of the decimal place. But anyway, what does stick here is the final approach course, so let's go ahead and do that. 185. And we can just zero that out. Now, some captains, they don't care if you go ahead and put the frequency on here and just leave it on here. The only reason that we just kind of zero it out is because you'll have these glide slope and the localizer indicators here, and it's just something else to clutter up your screen. So some people don't like it, some people won't care, but I'll go ahead and just zero it out here for now. But like I said, what's nice is that front course does stay on here though, so we'll zero that out. Moving on, QuadCast, we can expect to cross that there at 1,500 feet, so that's a glide slope intercept. Let's see, and then our DA 290 feet, so we don't use the decision height here. This really is only for Cat 2 or Cat 3 approaches. We'll use the little I don't even know what you call this here, the little altitude bug thing here, and we can set it as close to 290 as you can, and it's just it's not an accurate like science, it's just get it as close as you can. Now I'm going to do the same thing too for the captain side here. Since each notch is 20 feet, you can just put it somewhere in the middle. That's about 290. Upper elevation is 96 feet. Oh yeah, so it's 96, not 93 feet, but 96 feet. Touchdown is 90 feet. MSA is 3,000 feet. If we've got to go missed, that'll be up to 3,000 feet. And since it's VFR, we can plan on just making the left vector and just probably doing a left pattern just coming back to land. But the published miss is to go to Presque intersection. That should be in the box. If we go to hold, it's in the box here, and it looks like a right hand turn with an inbound course of 320, and that looks like what's in the box as well, so that checks out there. If you watched my videos before, I've said that real aircraft we use AutoBrakes 3. Reason is I guess all the engineers, whatever, they've come to realize that if we use AutoBrakes 3 with idle reverse, we can generally get off at I think it's 7,000 feet. It's 7,000 feet for the 200 minimum runway length. 7,500 feet for the 300. I want to say 8,000 for the 7.6. I have to look that up, but for sure 7,000 feet. And it's assuming that the runway is dry and it's grooved. And here's our automatic ATC telling us that we need to descend properly. Let's see. Jacksonville Center advises descend via the get out 1 arrival. And our Orlando altimeter is 3016. No separation services provided. It looks like we do have Orlando approach though, so I am gonna put that in here preemptively. Where was I? AutoBrakes. So yeah, real world we use AutoBrakes 3 and auto reverse, and again that'll get us off the runway. Generally speaking, if you've got a 7,000 foot runway, you're gonna get off the runway at like 6,800 feet, somewhere around there. So we tend to want to burn the brakes up more than use the idle reverse, because I guess idle reverse has a little bit more, or not idle reverse, but reverse thrust will have a little bit more wear and tear on the engine. So we tend to just use up the brakes. And the brakes on the 7.5s are very, very, very good. So let's actually go to AutoBrakes 2, because they seem to slow the aircraft a lot more in the sim than I think they do in a real aircraft. But anyway, we should be able to get off here by Foxtrot. We're planning for Foxtrot. We'll take Echo across, what is this, 17 right, to airside 3, and I guess we can go in through Echo 1, because we're going to park at, pick a number, 56. We'll go to 56. I think the only thing I haven't discussed here is the go around procedure. If we need to go around, that would be, we'll say go around, we'll click these. Let's see, are they even modeled here? Not really. They're these paddles that are behind the, actually yeah, they are, these like the black things here. Those are to go around. So you click those. We want to verify that we have 3 go around indications on our, on our EHSI. Once we've got that, we'll set go around flaps 20, and we'll verify that we've got those go around indications. Once we've got a positive rate, we'll bring the gear up. We'll climb, and then at 400 feet, we'll get a lateral, what do you call it, lateral input autopilot on here, so either LNAV, probably just heading select. And then at 1,000 feet, we'll bug our flaps 5 speed here. I just like to bug up to 880 knots. It tends to be, puts us in like a safe range here. But speaking of, let's figure out get rid of this now. Figure out what our reference speeds are going to be. So we should land with 9.2. We currently have 11.3 right now, which is what, 2.1? And we just subtract 2.1 from the gross weight here, which is the public math. Here we go. 186 point 4. That's about right, I think. And looks like ref of 120 or flaps 25 is what we'll generally land with. You can land with 30; it doesn't really matter. That's kind of what we just use, because 25, I think it's easier or it's quicker to go from flaps 25 to 20 if you had to go around than it is from flaps 30 to flaps 20. I think that's the only reason why we use 25 as often as we do. But anyway, flaps 25 says a ref of 130. Went down to 129 there. I'll use 130. And then we can come up here to the course knob for the VOR, and we'll just set our ref plus 5 is what I like to do. Just so some people like to put the base number here, and then you'll just add plus 5 in the speed box here. But I'm like, why do the extra math? Just look at the number, or just put the number here that I need to put in the box, and just save myself the trouble of having to do all the math. But anyway, ref is 135. I'll do that on the captain side as well too. Why not? Team effort up here, right? 135, and that's pretty much it. So then, at this point, we essentially just like briefed the approach, which is pretty much all I did right there. So I think we're good to go. The automatic ATC said send via the get out one. So I'll go ahead and set 7,000 feet. There, 7,000 is set. Just want to verify once again that was the bottom altitude. It is at Banya, 210 knots. So we're pretty much ready to go here. At this point, depending on the captain, some captains want the FOs to make the, let me rephrase that. If the captain is flying and the FO is doing pilot monitoring, they'll have the FO sit the flight attendants and tell the folks goodbye. Sometimes it doesn't matter. The captain just wants to say goodbye to the folks and also. I'm going to let the virtual captain do that for us today as we figure out who we're following here. Looks like. I have no idea who that is. This is definitely not uncommon, though, going down to Orlando. Or not Orlando, but just Miami. East Miami. Florida in general. And looks like he's going down to Orlando as well. And here's what I'm going to do, because this is part of the course. I'm going to slow us down here. Actually, 0.76 is pretty slow. We'll just do 208. What are we doing right now? 285. We'll do 280 knots. How about that? And we can't. Because... Alright. I'm just going to bog 280 here. So it's not out of the ordinary to follow traffic going down into Florida all the time, because you only really have so many, like, you've got traffic that tends to go into Orlando from like the coast here. Generally speaking, leaving Orlando, leaving Fort Lauderdale, Miami, you're gonna take off and then like head back inland and start making your way up north inland. Out of Orlando, yeah, there are departures that go straight inland. There is one. The Red Sox takes you out towards the West Coast before you start going up north. So it's not out of the ordinary to follow traffic like this all the time. So Just make sure I keep our distance here. Feel like I'm forgetting something. Been talking a lot. What did I say? Oh yeah, so we'd sit the passengers down, turn the seatbelt signs on, and that's about it. ER Seattle to Anchorage. Ooh, that's quite a leg there. What's that on Airbus or 73? Where are we right now? Coming up to, where's this? NRB Mayport Admiral. Okay. So I used to frequent this area a lot on the East Coast here. I actually used to do my instructing right across from, oh, I guess it wasn't across from Orlando, but down here at good old Vero Beach. Oh, looks like we got somebody taking off out of Vero Beach. How about that? Let me guess, Moxie. Nope. Ah, they've got the Phenom, which is part of the course. You used to see a lot of business jets going in and out of Vero down there. There's a lot of rich folks down there. Yep, Brantley is on a 738. Good deal. Gonna fly Orlando. I'm sorry, I keep saying Orlando. It's from Chicago to Anchorage this summer in real life on the 321 Neo. Nice, dude. That's got to be a decent leg. All right, here we go. Top of D. Pew. Generally speaking, I don't like. I'll descend the aircraft gradually if I can before we reach the top of D, just so it's not so noticeable. That's just me trying to be nice to the passengers there, but doesn't really matter. Sometimes I'm just lazy and just let it do whatever it wants to do. Anchorage, good deal. Are they in that point of the year where the sun like doesn't set until ever? Until like later in the winter time or something like that? I know it gets weird up there. Decent amount of traffic up here. What do we got? That is, looks like an Airbus. I can't remember what. I think, yeah, actually, it's a CLS aircraft. I think I'm using. The models are correct. Deliveries are not. So the other day I was actually going to do this trip, and I realized there was like an Alitalia Airbus pushing out of the gate, and it was supposed to be an American. So that's an American up ahead as well too. So I'm be curious to see what colors are in. It looks like I thought I saw an American tail. If I can get this just right. Nope. Controls in a way. Well, Brantley, that's cool, man. How long are you gonna stay up there? I guess I could mention, so once we've passed Nom, or Noom, however you say it out here, I'd like to go ahead and set my altimeter here. If Nom wasn't there, I would have go ahead and set my altimeter way up here in the 24,000 range, just because day like today, where we've got a little bit of a high pressure, our meter is what, 3016, it's going to keep us, what is that? That's a difference of what, 10, 20, like 240 feet, something like that. So it's going to keep us, or we're going to be 240 feet high of our of this path right now. So if I can gradually get this meter to like start to creep up well before we get to 18,000 feet, then I'll go ahead and do that, because the aircraft is going to think we're high, and it's going to pitch the nose down, and we're going to get fast. So anyway, trying to learn the D75, have the flight factor and love it, just need to learn it. Whoop whoop. 80 from TOD. Ooh, Alaskan cruise to Vancouver. Nice. The wife and I actually have our 7-year anniversary coming up here in October, and I should be doing a little bit more research about where the hell we're going to be going. Initially, we were going to go on a cruise, and then like changed our minds about it, especially with all the like diseases going on with just the idea of getting stuck on a boat. Once she started talking about it, I'm like, okay, yeah, it doesn't sound like a good idea at all. But not to dissuade you from going on your cruise or anything like that, man. Cruises are fantastic, but yeah, I think we're just gonna skip it this time. All right, so earlier I was talking about the altitude source, and I've brought this up before. It doesn't matter, unfortunately, in this sim, and by this sim, I suppose I should say in a flight factor airplane, but the altitude, the ATC source here, so source 2, which is the FO's altimeter, and like this source, like it's getting its source from the FO side. If I were to change my altimeter right now, doesn't matter. Look at our vertical path. It doesn't matter. Aircraft's like, nope, we're still 2992. Well, real aircraft, it's going to be like, it's going to change depending on whatever I set the altimeter is setting to. But it tells us here altitude disagree, because yeah, they're different. But in this aircraft, it doesn't matter whether it's the source 1 or source 2. It's always on the captain's side. So if I were to start messing around with the captain's altimeter here, then you can see our path. It's like, hey, you're getting high. So real aircraft, obviously you want that source to be on your side, because if the captain went ahead and put their altimeter to 3016 earlier than you wanted it, then aircraft's going to start diving right now. Whereas again, the way I like to do it in the real world is I'll just gradually get that number up from 2992 to 3016 or whatever it's supposed to be in the real world at the time, just so it can kind of gradually get back into the VNAV path here without me having to bring out the spoilers. Now that being said, that actually does work on. I haven't tried on other aircraft here in X-Plane, but I know for sure the PMDG does it. I wouldn't be surprised if any other of the big dogs do it as well to your Phoenixes and whatnot. So 18,000 feet. Let's go ahead and turn. Actually, we'll keep the nose gear light off for now, just as an indication for ourselves that we have not been cleared to land. So I'll turn the wing lights, the landing lights, the turn off lights, and the wing light on, and we'll run through the company's descent checklist, which is altimeters 3016 is cross check minimums. We've got a barrow of 290 that is set, and cross check landing data. Our ref is flaps 25 and a ref of 130. That is set on the speed bug for us here, and it does it manually for us. And if you don't know how to set the flaps 5 and flaps up speed bugs here, it's essentially 40 knots from flaps 30 ref. So that's what, 168. That's going to be your flaps 5 ref. So flaps 5 need to be out before 168, and then flaps 30 plus 80 knots is what do you call it? Flaps up. And there's, oh my gosh, look at this guy. Speed breaks out. Contact approaching.
Yeah, looks fine, behind us.
Jeez
American
Louise.
1674, Orlando approach.
Just about to give you a... Yeah, gummit. And my shit's not working again. Just about to give you...
American 3123, turn 20 degrees left, extra traffic.
Alright. Gotta pause. This is embarrassing. Get your stuff together, TCA. Come on. Joystick. Why are you so bad? I'm blaming TCA here, but I know it's my hardware. It's just... I'm just gonna have to use like a push to talk.
American 1674, Orlando approach.
It's push to talk, edit. Keyboard. Let's do push to talk. ATC. Contact. Push to talk. Contact ATC.
Lima, runway 1,
Oh no, no, that's not what I need to do. It's X-Pilot. X-Pilot. Push to talk. Let's do that button. I don't think anything else is being used. Nope, it's being used there. Oh boy. What are we gonna use?
3123, which runway are you set up for?
Toggle flight configuration window. Whatever.
American 3123, no worries. Runway 17 right. Actually do 17 left. Just continue your descent. Looks like they paused. Okay, we'll continue something now. American 3123, let's do this. Turn right direct Banya. Just gonna maintain 7,000. George Banya down 7,000.
Sorry, approach. Oh my gosh, this is not working still?
American 1674, Orlando approach, are you up?
Alright. I have to disconnect there, guys. I don't know why this is not working. Let's do this. Back in. Yoke. That's working. Wow, seriously? So I've had this issue before, but not to this degree. I don't know why. Okay. Yoke. There we go. Alright, I think it's got its shiznit together. Maybe. Alright, yeah, I think we're back in business here, so let's do this. Unpause. Let's connect back up again. And it's still not working. Maybe. Let's give it a second here. Oh my gosh. Alright. Disconnect. Where's my push to talk? Cancel. Push to talk. Joystick. PTT. Apply. Still not working. Apparently, you are looking to go work for Delta one day. Really want to fly to 75, but will they probably retire by the time I get there? Oh boy. Well, how far along in your training are you right now? Push to talk. Push to talk. Push to talk. Oh yeah, I know it's unplugged. Wow. Unbelievable. Alright, is this key being used? No, it's not. Let's do that. X-Pilot. Push to talk. Use that key.
Heading 210, down 4,000, expect final. American 1674, Orlando approach. If you hear this transmission, ident.
Well, ident there, so I hear him.
American 1674, roger. So you radio failure at this moment, reduce speed. So you maintain current speed. Expect runway 17 right. Expect runway 17 right. It's just the effect staff for now. I feel like I heard you keying up a little bit. We'll just go with that.
I don't know why the push to talk's not working. This sucks. Alright, so Brantley, you've taken a couple lessons for your PPL, but it'll be a while. Yeah, man, I hate to say it, but I can for sure see them being gone by the time you get to the majors, because you got to think, not only do you have to get up to your commercial and
American
then
3123, would you be okay at runway 17 right?
Yeah, we
not only do you have to get up to your commercial,
American 3123, I'd expect
but then you have to like build up the time to 1500 hours, and if the environment is back to being the way it was before things kind of die down again, like you're gonna have to be competitive, whatever competitive means, and add that
American
time.
1674, turn right heading 210, just gonna maintain 6000, acknowledge with an ident.
210 6000, 210 6000. Alright, there's 6. Put the spoilers away. 6,000, 210 knots. Flight level change. 250, 210. Alright, since we are, looks like we're on vectors now, I'm just gonna go ahead and extend the our speed brakes out. They sure are. Oh my gosh, what is going on here? So my speed brakes are apparently now backwards. Oh, jeez. Okay. Gotta disconnect. A lot of foobar stuff going on here with the hardware. I don't know what's going on. I can't spell.
American 1674, no worries, we'll see you. Have a good day.
Oh, that sucks. Well, we'll do what he said anyway. So 6,000, and all right, give me a second here, guys. I'm not gonna fly like this. So is speed brakes reverse axis, and then while we're at it, what is going on here with the freaking push to talk, man? This is. I'll have to figure that out when I'm not online again, but sounds like your average flight. Oh man. Alright, let's just go ahead and extend, at least start flying towards the freaking runway here. So he said 210 and 6,000 feet here, so I'm just gonna extend from, is there a Bosch? Let's go ahead and just grab Bosch here. So we'll go to 17 left, there's Bosch, legs, Bosch, in L1, extend from, what do we have, 185, 185, you like it? No, send it anyway. There's that, there's Bosch. Cool. And since we're below 10,000, let's go ahead and set our frequency. What did I say earlier? 110.95 is in the box. And the descent checklist, I'm sorry, the approach checklist, flight nav instruments, essentially, let's verify that 1095, 185 there, 1095, 185 here. That is verified. Cabin notification is, or altimeters rather. Reading a whole one. Altimeters are 3016. Let's cross check. Approach check is complete. Cool. Bosch, I'm gonna descend down to 5 and just clear myself for the approach here. So 5,000 feet and. Yeah, let's go ahead and start slowing down here. So what I was thinking about there was how much time do I have to slow down and get down. So if we were level It takes about 1 nautical mile to lose 10 knots here, so I am, there's 6 for 5. You know what, I think we're gonna be fine. No, keep the speed brakes. So we'll descend, and then I'll slow to 210 knots afterwards here. I think we should be fine speed-wise. Maybe. No, probably gonna be hauling ass actually. So vertical speed, -5, 210 knots here. This should keep us going down a little bit while we slow down at the same time. And then it's going to keep us underneath this, so it says 6,000 here at Bosch. If we come in at 5,000 feet, but we are, we should still be inside of the Bravo. That's the only concern. IIFR, let's do VFR. And this shelf here is, no idea. Oh, it goes all the way down to the ground, so cool. We should be fine here. 5,000 as it slows down here. Oh shoot, I totally forgot. Bad FO. There's looks active, outs captured. Let's go ahead and continue slowing down to about, 210's fine. 210's fine for now. 210 and flaps to 1. So there's our flaps up bug. We should have had the flaps up before that, or flaps to 1 before that. Woke would probably get me in trouble here. We'll arm approach, so the glide slope is armed now, and we can just ride the glide slope all the way down. There's glide slope, and since that's that, we can go ahead and set the missed approach altitude of 3,000 feet as well. Really kind of upset as to why that push to talk's not working. Have to figure that out later. Oh boy. One aircraft that you really want to fly, but by the time you get to the airline, 747 won't be around. Well, you know, Steven, it depends on if you want to fly for the airlines or not. Because if you want to fly for the cargos, I'm pretty sure you're going to have 74s around. I don't know about, let's see, who has got, Atlas still has 7.4s. Kalita has 7.4s. So I mean, they're still going to be around there. It just depends on if you want to fly cargo or not. Yeah, we're gonna have to put the speed brakes out here. Getting a little bit on the fast side. One pet peeve I have about the 7.5. The windows sit pretty low, so I'm your average height like 5'10", and when I sit here, like, this is what it looks like from my point of view. It's like here. Like you gotta like dip your head down like a, I don't know, like a stork or something. Get the nice little wing figure. But anyway, I need to stop being a passenger and start flying here. Gotta slow down to 1. Let's go to 180 here until we're 5 out. He's so pretty. Alright, speed is good. Let's go to flaps 5. We're at 2,500 feet already. We're getting pretty low. Alright, ref is 130. We said 135. Yeah, I really have to put the brakes out here. It's like the worst thing to do, man. Plane just starts shaking so much. Alright, let's see. Speed is good. There's flaps. Bring flaps to 15, and I'll go ahead and put the gear down here. Gear down. As we do that, I'll start to bring the spoilers back up, or down, I guess, in this case. Down, and let's arm them now. I think I just did. Armed. And speed's good. Flaps to 20. We cleared ourselves to land, so nose gear lights on. Steven, what are you working on right now? And speed's good there. Flaps to 25. Landing checklist. Landing gear is down. Flaps are 25 there. 25 here. Speed brakes arm. Landing checklist is complete. And our mid-approach altitude is set. Why do we have the caution light here? Okay. Alright, how's it gonna land? Alright, disconnect auto throttles there. Oh, it's probably because of the ECCs. Maybe? Yeah, probably the ECCs. Stop it. Throttles. There's throttles. 1,000 feet, we're clear to land. Mid-approach altitude set. Let's go ahead and disconnect the autopilot. If it'll disconnect, it's not going to disconnect. My bindings are all jacked up right now. All jacked up. I'm just going to use the bar. Generally don't use the bar there, but whatever. It's coming off the rails right now. Oh yeah, I forgot about that crosswind. So, in the real aircraft, same here. I know our runway track is what, 183, so I can try and make my crosswind corrections visually here, but I know that if I want to track the runway, okay, I'm getting really high here. If I want to track the runway, then I actually need to have track the runway length down there, so, or heading. Super fast and super high and super unstable. Would not recommend. Super high, but all right. Idle. Right rudder. Left aileron. Too much. And crash. Good night. I promise, guys. I've done this before. That was ugly. All right, there's 80 knots. Idle thrust. Here's Foxtrot, as we planned. Take a look at the replay later. I'm not sure I really want to, though. That was ugly. All right. Flaps up. Speed brake is down. And let's go ahead and clean it up. Let's see what the spoilers are at. Or not spoilers, but the trim. See, it's only at like 3.5. Like I said, real world, man. We're up there in the upper band of that range. And look at my yoke. That's probably, yeah, I'm gonna blame it on the yoke. Look at my yoke, how jacked up it is right now. It's like, anyway, let's clean the aircraft off here. Light director is off. Landing light off. Runways turn, off, lights off. You can keep the nose gear light on. I'll turn. Oh yeah, we've got no APU. I forgot about that. And we can clear out our ILS frequency here. And nobody's out here. We'll clear ourselves. Clear left, clear right, clear across. Lights back on. You are trying to, whoops, I guess we've gotten rid of this guy. Trying to find a pipeline, ooh, patrol or medvac, King Air or any type of, yep, anything you can get, man, yeah, definitely go for it. I was looking at every option I could before I decided on instructing. Funny enough, I think it was about a month or two before I decided on taking the instructor route. I saw that I missed an email from some guy who wanted me to fly a Cessna 182 RG somewhere up in like Michigan for to fly skydivers. And man, tell you what, life would have been a whole lot different if I'd have taken that job. But you know, for better or for worse, it is what it is. But yeah, for sure, like whatever job you can get once you finally start to got the opportunity to get paid for it, man, yeah, jump on it. Your fly flag that does this to you too? Well, like I said, man, I don't want to blame this all on Fly Factory. For sure, there's some like kinks with the aircraft, but I know my hardware is just does some funky things sometimes. Like, look, now you want to act all high and mighty, and it's still kind of doing some weird stuff there. So, am I taxiing at 36? Yep, we sure are. We are hauling the mail here. Probably slow for Southwest though. Airport. We are going to Echo 1, so that's going to be the second right. You just had a guy up there in Anchorage. CTAF called his landing checklist on frequency. I had a guy recently make a PA. I forget where we were. I think we were on the ground still. And yeah, he got given the business about that. Can't say I haven't done that before though. Alright, here's Echo 1. I'm not gonna shut her off just yet. We'll watch the replay of me crashing, and I'll go through the process of shutting it down without the APU here. Then Daddy's got to go make some dinner for the girls before they get home. All right, Echo 1 and set 56. Let's just pick another gate here. Alright, we'll turn the nose gear light off here so we don't blind our rampers, and we'll just take this gate. I think this is probably 54, but whatever. This dude's got no interest in helping us park right now. It's like, I'm pretty sure he said 56. I don't know what you're doing here, but I'm not going to help you park. Sorry. Alright, parking brake is set. Let's go ahead and check this out, because that was abysmal. Let's see. Replay. Here we go. I mean, truth be told, I should have gone around. Really didn't feel like it though. It's pretty stiff. Raj, have fun, Brantley. Yeah, it's pretty stiff crosswind here, but nothing that was unmanageable. Definitely floated though. There is too high, too early of a flare, and bonk. Oh my goodness. Side loaded. Tell you what, that's one of the things that makes a landing feel as bad as anything. If you side load it the way I just did right now. Looks like some of my landings. Ali. Yeah, that's not how you do that. Hello? And, oh boy, here we go. Jeez Louise. Yeah. This V1C, that's some low time pallet stuff right there. Man. I don't need to see any more replays of that. That was... hurts my ego. Alright, well, let's take her all the way to the gate here. Exit replay mode. On pause. So, thing about not having APU is we're gonna have to wait for them to hook up the jetway, which I don't know if they're gonna let me do if that beacon light is on. or maybe this jetway just doesn't work. May not work. Anyway, so jetway would have to be hooked up because we need the external power. So let's get that set here. Chocks. We can get the external power. Once we've got the external power and it's working well, then we can shut everything down here. So what's my job? I just shut it down. Shut it down and then turn the transponder to standby, and then I make sure that I turn off the right recirc valve, or fan rather, while the cap then turns off the left, center, and right electric pumps, and the fuel pumps as well. And oh yeah, I was supposed to let the people up as well too. And that's it. And then they turn off the beacon light here, but we did that earlier just to see if we can get the jetway to work, but that's not the case. At some point we'll need to get air in here because obviously we get hot really, really quickly. But then we'd run the shutdown checklist, which is park and brake is set, hydraulic panel is set, fuel pump switches are off, seatbelt signs are off, engine anti-ice is off, fuel control switches are cut off, transponder is standing by, and red anti-collision light is off, and shutdown checklist is complete. And that is all she wrote. Oh, let's see. Ground, don't need stairs. AC unit. And that's about it. Well, landing was abysmal, but otherwise, hope you guys enjoyed that. I'm gonna take a look back at this stream here. I keep tinkering around with the volume settings and whatnot, so it's a work in progress.